Hi, and welcome to Benefits Now on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Frederick Schmidt. Today, we're addressing questions that we've been receiving regarding disability and the different facets after that someone gets hurt and the arduous process to receive either the SSI, the SSDI, the loss of income, and where to get help. And that's part of the portfolio, that we offer. The one thing to be able to know a little bit about myself, I've been now in the business for 27 years, and it's how or what can we do to be of service to other people and to be able to assist them and helping them with the disability and connecting, to be able to make the process, as smooth as possible. Today, my guest is on the phone with me. His name is John Wilkeson. He's our agent development manager. And so I'm going to turn it over to Josh, have Josh tell him a little bit about himself, and how he helps the agents, to help the agents to help the consumers. So welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. My name is Josh Wilkinson. I am the agent development manager here with Diversity Insurance. I've been in the insurance industry for about 10 years. Originally, I was just looking to make a career move, and it started as a job and has turned into a career at this point. I work here with all of our agents doing training and development. I build different training on different health-related topics. I work with all of the different insurance plans that we work with to keep up to date on changes and to keep agents informed, so that way they can help to keep their clients informed and make sure that they're getting the care that they need and that they deserve.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for taking the time, as I've said, because I know your plate is full. All of our plates are full as we're moving now toward 2024. So we're going to jump into the questions. And, as the questions have come in, we want to be able to make sure that we're addressing them. If you need, you're welcome to contact me through my website, www.Insuremenow.store. And I would love to be able to take any questions that any of you may have regarding this podcast or any other podcast, and we can go ahead and address those. So because of limited time, we're going to go ahead and jump into the questions here and see if we can get as many of them as answered as possible. So the first one, Josh, that I have is, it says, what is the onset process with your organization?
Yeah, so the way that it works is the organization that we partner with to help people get their Social Security disability income benefits, what they do is when you start working with them, they don't look at the date that you are looking to file a claim. They go back to the date when the disability began. So the day when an individual was deemed disabled, they were no longer able to work. The application process is a very long process. And a lot of times people don't realize that they can actually get backdated to the onset of their disability. So that way they can get their amount their claim amount back to that date. So it's not just from the date of filing moving forward, it's back to the onset of the disability when the individual originally qualified to receive those benefits.
Great. And I'm sure that varies from person to person, right?
It definitely does. There are individuals who they may become disabled and the next day they're filing for disability, or there may be cases where, an individual doesn't realize that this is going to be a long-term disability. So they may wait 6 months or 9 months before they look to start that process of applying for those SSDI benefits. So it does very much vary on the individual.
Okay, great. And let me ask you, because I've had this come up a few times, and this is just on a side note, not to spring a surprise question here, but the biggest one is we want to know is so when a person, how do they determine where the disability starts? Is that something that they get from their doctor? Do you know that right off?
Yes, so that is something that they would get from their doctor. So, it can depend situation to situation. If it's an illness, then, there could be an extended period of time where the onset of the disability may fall somewhere in there on when the illness became chronic and when the individual could not work. Versus, let's say, a situation like a car accident or somebody is injured at work and very badly injured, then it's more clear of, the specific date of the onset of the disability. But the client's doctor, is the one who makes that ultimate determination of when the official onset began.
Okay, great. And so here's another one that I've got. It says, what is the award letter? We hear a lot of things about the award letter, and this individual's wanting to know is, what is the award letter?
Mm-hmm. So the award letter comes from the Social Security Administration, and what it does is it lets the client know that their SSDI benefits have been approved. It lets them know when their benefits will begin, and also what their monthly payment that they receive will be.
Okay, and that'll let them know when their payments will begin also?
Exactly. Okay. Yes, it will.
Okay. And is it true, because I've heard this from a couple of people, it just kind of brings up another question, is I understand that the lump sum that they receive, that's not given at one time. Is that true? Or is it divided into like 3 different segments?
To my understanding, it is split up over time.
Okay. And that's in addition to the payments that they would be getting from their SSDI as well, correct?
Correct. Yes, it is.
Okay, great. The other one is, a lot of people ask this also, and they're concerned because they know they're not going to be able to work. But, how much is this going to cost somebody in order to, work with our organization?
Yes. So when working with our organization, there is nothing that the client has to pay for upfront. The only time that the organization receives a payment is if they successfully win the case and those SSDI benefits for the client. In that situation, the Social Security Administration has set a set percentage that eligible, whether it's law firms or organizations like this, can receive up to a certain allotted amount. So that is set by the Social Security Administration. So the client will never pay the organization more than what Social Security Administration allows.
I see. Great. And I think you answered this again. They're not paying anything. It's settled at the time the award letter, or the question is, do I pay up front? And I believe you just answered that also. But yeah. So they're not paying anything up front per se, right?
Exactly. And the nice thing about working for an advocacy organization versus working for a law firm is a lot of times when you're working with law firms, you have to pay at least something up front and then continue to pay as you're going through. And a lot of the times when working with those law firms, at the end of the day, they may not win the case. And so the client has spent, could be thousands of dollars hoping to get these SSDI benefits, and then at the end of it, they receive nothing. So it is a great feature that there's nothing that has to be paid up front. There's only payment to the organization if the case is won.
So blatantly put, it's, knowing that the law firm can kind of drag their feet and can probably even charge more than what our organization charges. Is that correct?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I have seen with people where they apply for disability, and they're reapplying, multiple times, and they're frustrated, financially stressed, and extremely frustrated.
Absolutely.
So good. And again, as folks, as you're watching this, you're listening to this, if you have questions, you have concerns, again, I'll always say I don't have the answers. That's why I love working with the organization that I do with Josh and with all the teams, because the way we're able to serve and help a lot of our folks are by being able to gather your questions, get the answers, come back to you. And as we do this as a team, then we're able to help other people be able to get what they need and to continue to help people. And, and that's how, again, I've built my career in the last 28 years. But again, if you have questions, any comments, you're welcome, to reach out to me on my website, www.insuremenow.store. Please don't hesitate. The previous podcasts are there. There's a world of resources. And if there's anything else somebody's looking for, please don't hesitate. So here they're asking also, Josh, it says, is there a certain age I need to be in order to qualify?
Yep. So in order to qualify for SSDI, an individual needs to be between the ages of 18 and 65 years old. Our organization, we personally work with individuals up through the age of 61 and a half. The reason for that is after that age, it gets a lot harder to get approved for SSDI because after you've been on disability for 2 years, you qualify for Medicare automatically. When you're at 61 and a half years old, individuals are already very close to that Medicare age-in. So a lot of the times cases are denied and it's just a lot harder to get approved when you get to a certain age.
Great. Yep. And, and that makes sense also. So it also, so our next question is, it says, can I work at all while I'm waiting to be approved?
Yeah. So with that, an individual is not able to work during that time. In order to be approved for SSDI benefits, the individual has to be deemed completely disabled and not able to complete any work. One example that we always use is, let's say there's a roofer and one day he falls off the roof and he's not able to continue roofing anymore. But he is able to go out and drive for Uber and make money on the side. That is considered gainful employment, and that deems them ineligible for SSDI benefits because they are not, in fact, disabled by the definition of the Social Security Administration.
Okay. And just right off, so they can receive assistance from family, friends, or, disability policies or whatever, they're going to be okay. But as long as they don't have gainful employment is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay.
They can't do anything that makes them any sort of income through work.
I see. Yeah, because I hear that all the time from a lot of the clients where, that's a very stressful time when you've just taken one person's income away for, a year or two until they get through, especially that 2-year period until they get their award letter.
No, it is. And it's definitely, it's a scary time when you're going through it. And, it's very hard on a lot of individuals, which is why I always recommend, as soon as it becomes apparent or as soon as the doctor deems an individual completely disabled, to begin the process right then, because it can be a very time-consuming process. And even if you have a lot of assets saved up, if you're not bringing anything in from work and you're dealing with all of these medical expenses, it's going to start eating away at it really quick. And that's only if you're lucky enough to have, a lot of assets saved up there. We know a lot of individuals don't.
Right. So you're kind of plugging in, get a hold of us as soon as possible once the disability happens so that we can kind of help you. So that's the whole thing there, folks. If you're disabled, and it's definitely not a laughing or a joking matter, but you want to be able to, this is not the time you want to sit here and try to Google the answers or try to ask your friends how to do this. You want to be able to reach out to the right parties. And again, if we don't have the answers, we're going to work within our organization to get those. Think of it like heart surgery. You don't want to shop around at that point in time. You want to be able to make sure you get the assistance that you need right then and there. So thank you. Okay, so here's
Absolutely.
one. Oh, sorry, what's that?
Oh, I just said absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. This is one also folks want to know is really what is the difference between the SSI, and that's the Social Security income, and the SSDI, which is also the Social Security disability income. What are really the differences between those two?
Yes. So with SSDI, so the disability income, that requires prior work history. An individual would have had to have worked at least 5 out of the last 10 years and paid into FICA taxes in order to qualify for SSDI benefits. With SSI, that does not have the requirement of work credits as SSDI does. So a lot of the individuals who are on SSI are individuals who have never worked. It may be a disability at birth, and there's no age requirement with SSI as there is with SSDI. A lot of individuals on SSI also meet limited income levels, which helps them qualify for SSI, whereas SSDI does not have requirements on income.
I see. So, say for example, I'm just putting this. Say a stay-at-home spouse, has a heart attack, or
Mhm.
something happens to them. I mean, the breadwinner is now the one really responsible. So that individual that stays at home and they become disabled. That would be probably an example. Would you think of somebody that might be eligible for the SSI?
Absolutely, that is a very great example.
Great, great. So the disability, again, kind of think of it as gainful employment. If you've had gainful employment, as you said, over the last 10 years, you've paid into those FICA taxes, Social Security taxes. Let me just throw this out there. Somebody had asked me this recently, and again, not trying to throw an extra here. And if you don't know, that's fine. Let me know. But what happens when an individual then turns 65? How does that affect their Medicare? I mean, I know they've got to go through Social Security. Social Security will break that down. But
Mhm.
how does that vary between the time they get their award letter, they're getting the SSI or SSDI, and now they're 65 and they're eligible for straight Medicare? Do you know that?
Yep. So the way that it works is SSDI ends at the age of 65 when an individual gets Medicare,
Hmm.
at which point they start receiving their Social Security payments. If an individual, so the way that it works is after an individual has been disabled for 2 years, regardless of their age, they automatically enroll into Medicare. Once they turn 65, they are able to stay with their current Medicare plan if they would like to, or they have an election period because they've had Medicare before, but now they're turning 65, where they're able to make a change into a different plan if they would like to.
Okay. And again, the election, just to be real clear, because I know we use these all the time in ours, the election period, just to let you know, is a special consideration to be able to move, because we have
Mhm.
specific times to be able to, move people around. It's also to let you know that once you get through the process and you're going to be receiving your SSI or SSDI, again, you can reach out to me. I can help you look to see if you qualify for what's known as the Medicare Savings Program, or also the what's previously known as the Medicaid, which is funded through the states, and that's different through the various states we work. But it's also looking at the limited income subsidy to see if we could possibly get Social Security to help subsidize your prescription drugs. Because at that point in time, with being on a limited income, as I tell people, without being facetious, a cup of coffee from McDonald's is a luxury. So we want to be able
Very
to
much
keep it
so.
as, we want to be able to be there from the time you find out you have the disability to the time the award letter is given, to get you in a plan that's going to work for you, your income, your doctors, your specialist, and to make sure everything flows as smooth as possible. It's not a perfect system, but we're going to do the best we can. And again, as we do this, as you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm Frederick Schmidt. This is Josh Wilkerson. We want to be able to make sure that we can address and get you the help that you need as we move along. And again, you can reach me at www.Insuremenow.store. So we have just a few questions here, left on this one here. It says, the difference is that, I'm sorry, I see what it is. What is the difference between our organization and a disability law firm? I know we touched base on that a little bit ago. Is there anything more you would like to add to that? Or do you think, other than knowing that our intent is really just to focus on your disability?
Exactly. And I think that's, the key difference is being an advocacy firm and not a law firm. It's individuals who are here to help, not just for profit, but are actually passionate about this. This is all that this organization does, is work to help people through this process. So they're following up with your doctors to get your medical records. They're following up with hospitals. They're going to court for you. They're doing all of the steps needed in order to help you get those benefits.
Great. So it's more of a main focus just on the disability is really what the specialty is. Okay. Just to make sure that, we really have that there. Great. Here's one. I hear this all the time, and some people are very discouraged. So they're asking, if I've been denied before, can I or should I apply again?
Yes, you can absolutely apply again. About 67% of SSDI applications are initially denied. And a lot of those applications are individuals who submit them and they're trying to go through the process on their own. So it's not at all uncommon to be denied the first time and have to apply again.
So it's kind of like what's that saying about, a person that represents himself in court, kind of thing, is like a fool, or however that saying goes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right. And it's of course, it's not, a lot of folks think, okay, this is something that I can take on, but you really want to focus on your spirit, mind, and body while you're healing and being able to leave the medical needs to the doctors, leaving the professional ways to be able to apply for disability through such an organization so that you can move as smoothly as possible, because you don't want to miss a step or two and then all of a sudden realize, I should have done this or I should have done that. Let us work with you to be able to get through the process, is my point there.
Absolutely.
Now, here's another one is your organization nationwide? And I know I've had people where they've started a disability with a law firm here and then they've moved away and all of a sudden now they're there, or the law firm is saying, I don't have my law degree or whatever in that state. Well, you're going to have to start over. So I think that's why I know I'm getting this question about wanting to know if our organization is nationwide.
Yes, it is. So it is available in all 50 states. And one of the nice things, too, is they'll work with you wherever you are. So if a client, let's say they're here in Illinois, if a client decides that after their disability, they want to move to Florida to be closer to their children so they can have somebody who can kind of assist them, the program is available in all 50 states. It is a federally run program, so there's not state requirements. It works the same regardless of where the individual resides.
I see. Okay, great. And here's one, because, with our organization, we work with a lot of veterans. A lot of veterans come home. Some of them do and don't admit, having PTSD, or, any of the other, battle scars they may get. But it says, where is it here? What if my disability is because I'm a veteran? Do I still qualify?
Yes. So veterans absolutely do qualify. They can receive SSDI benefits, which can either be in alternative to their VA disability compensation, or sometimes, depending on what the situation was, it can work in conjunction with it. so they can receive SSDI benefits in addition to their VA disability compensation.
Great. Because I know in previous podcasts and also bringing in the veteran sponsors and stuff, they've also talked about, because the veterans benefits have changed, as they say, it's no longer your grandfather's benefits because it really is dependent on a disability scale. But, you could go back to previous podcasts or listen for future podcasts when I do bring in, other veteran experts to, address these concerns also. All right. So it says, if I work with you, do I need to start the process all over?
No. So the organization that we work with can take the case over from wherever you are in the process. So whether it's the initial application process or whether you're in the appeals process, wherever an individual is in the process, we don't expect them to start over because we know what a time-consuming process it is. So they will jump in and assist wherever you are in the process and take it from there.
Awesome. And how do they keep them informed, or how do they keep the consumers or our clients informed as they move through the process? Is that something that's what I hear about a lot of clients is they don't know what's going on, then they have to get in. Again, we're talking the law firm versus our organization. But they usually have to set the appointment with the attorney, and then, they have to go in every 3 to 6, 9 months, figure out where they are. So, that's another great point for people to know that within our organization and being organized to help people, how are they able to find out where they are in that process?
Yep. So the organization is constantly reaching out to them to let them know whether they've called their doctors who request medical records, when their court dates are, if there's anything that's needed on the client's end, which traditionally there's not outside of just providing the information. But they're very good about keeping the client in the loop, making sure that they're constantly in contact with them to let them know that things are progressing forward and what the status of it is.
Wonderful. Because, when you're going through that and you're facing being financially dependent on somebody for the next couple of years, depending on your assets, as we had said, it could be very stressful. But to have that peace of mind, knowing that you're working with a reliable organization to be able to help you, that I feel is going to make the process go just a much smoother to give you that peace of mind. So again, you can focus on taking care of yourself as well.
Absolutely.
So it says, I received my award letter. Now what?
So once a client receives their award letter, and I would like to say, I do believe I misspoke earlier when you were asking about the lump sum. So with the lump sum, that actually comes as one payment.
I see.
It's not, in fact, split up there.
Oh, okay.
The monthly benefits obviously come on a monthly basis, but the lump sum does come as one payment, and it's within 60 days of their benefits being approved. And then once they receive that award letter, the client automatically will become eligible for Medicare 24 months after the onset of their disability. So whatever that original date that we backdated to file that SSDI claim, 2 years from that date, an individual becomes eligible for Medicare. Once they become eligible for Medicare, they're able to enroll into a Medicare plan, whether they want to do just a prescription drug plan, whether they want to do a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan that could provide them with some great benefits such as dental, vision, hearing coverages, over-the-counter benefits. And a lot of the times, these benefits are available to Medicare beneficiaries at no cost to them. So that's one of the great things about working with independent agents is you're able to learn about all of the different options that are out there. There's so many different Medicare products because it's not one size fits all. Some people may need more dental benefits. Some people may need more hearing benefits. Some people may be focused more on just transportation. So working with a local agent is key in finding the best benefits once an individual does then qualify for Medicare.
Awesome. And I think that's really wonderful to be able to know as we go through this, as Josh was saying, this is not a one size fits all. We want to be able to kind of keep you up to date. We want to let you know what the next steps are, what we need to now be applying for to be able to further assist you, attend to your need, also to make sure that, we all have skin in the game, being able to assist you and to work with you so that we can make this as smooth as possible. So I think that's a really, really great point.
Absolutely.
And here's another one here. It says, just a few more, Josh. It says, is having disability insurance recommended? So I think they're asking, should they consider getting, we promote it, of course, getting disability insurance, but do you feel this would really help offset them by getting a disability policy?
I do. I definitely think if it's financially feasible for an individual, having a disability policy in place is a great idea. As we've talked about going through this, it takes a long time to go through the SSDI process. If an individual has a private disability insurance policy, depending on what the elimination period is or how long a client has to be disabled before they can start receiving those benefits through their private disability insurance, they can start receiving those while they're going through the SSDI process. So that way they still have some source of income. And then depending on the life and the term of the policy, they can continue to receive those benefits from their private disability insurance as well as those SSDI benefits once those start coming in.
Great. And let me ask you this, because I know some of my clients, or I've heard people say this, is that, as they're going through the process, they're thinking they might be able to pick up a small job. Like we had said earlier that, if it's gainful employment, is there, can they do volunteer work? I guess the biggest thing, as long as it's not gainful employment, they're keeping their mind busy and active and they're not hurting or straining themselves, they can do things like that. But, I guess my point is you don't want to risk the jeopardy, or you don't want to jeopardize your opportunity of being put in the program and then being, think you're going to do something and then get caught and then get disqualified. Is that one of the ways that they would be disqualified from being considered for disability now or in the future?
So yes, it would be. Not necessarily in the future, because they could always reapply if they are in fact disabled and unable to work. However, if an individual, when going through the SSDI process, if they have any sort of employment in which they are bringing in income, it is by the Social Security Administration's definition, they are not in fact disabled. So they do not qualify for those SSDI benefits.
Okay. And this sounds like a really off the wall one, but I had somebody, and I couldn't answer this, see if you could possibly, or we could get back to them. But, they had said they had won a little bit of money on a scratch ticket. Is that considered, do you know if that's considered gainable, income, or is that winnings? Or do you know how that, say for example, they get an inheritance or they get a little bit of scratch money, something like that. Does that go against them?
I don't believe so. I can double check and get back with you on that.
Okay.
But I know with SSDI, it doesn't have the income restrictions on it or the asset restrictions on it the way that SSI could. Okay. So I do not believe so, but that is a great question. I'm happy that they asked, and we can definitely get that answer and follow up.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. And that's the whole thing. Here we are, we're finding questions, we're finding ways how to be able
Mhm.
to serve the community to be able to help them. Josh, I want to say thank you for your time. It's wonderful working with you. It's wonderful knowing that we can come together to be able to help out. I think we're going to wrap up. I think we've answered the questions. Are there anything else you would like to add, Josh, before we do wrap up? As far as ways to be able to, spark people's interest, to be able to know that that's our role, my role with
Mhm.
you and the rest of our organization to make sure that we're able to help people.
Absolutely. So the way I always like to think of what we do is we are resources out here. With our time in the insurance industry and the healthcare kind of industry, we've learned a lot about the resources that are out there, and so many people aren't aware of them, and they aren't aware that they're able to do a program like this where they don't have to pay anything up front. And there's so many resources that exist in the community for those who need it. And that's one of the great benefits about having a local agent or a local agency is you're able to work with them. They can understand your needs and they can point you in the direction of where to go. So it's definitely a great, great resource to have.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Josh, for your time. Again, my name is Frederick Schmidt. Thank you, IntellectualRadio.com. And if you have any further questions, stay tuned for further podcasts regarding benefits now, and we will look forward to talking with you soon. Again, any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at www.Insuremenow.store. Thank you all for your time. Again, thank you, Josh, and I'll look forward to talking to everybody soon.